Yeah, man, the Rashford thing was a worry, bruv. Like Rashford and Anthony, because Sancho and Pelistri done really well, like in the first half, and then obviously Anthony got the goal, but other than that, didn't really affect the game. And Rashford was awful, bruv. Like man had Rashford fail comps, bro. It was brazy.
Mm.
I can't even lie. So like, I just don't even know. And the thing is, Rashford just got a new deal as well. And obviously, I know Rashford is someone that he divides the fan base, in it. He's very divisive. He's very by the way he plays, and he's a player that I've tried to kind of just embrace who he is because I know what he is, in it. And it's one of them ones where once you understand the kind of player he is, you kind of just gotta fucking accept it, bro. Like Marcus Rashford is a player that he's one of our own, so he's always gonna be massively, massively hyped. Massively. Do you know what I mean? He's English as well, and because of the stuff he does off the pitch, everyone's gonna talk him up like as high as they're gonna talk him up. But he is not someone that can be relied on, like for performances, for goals, for anything. Like we have to keep it 100, in it. Like he scored loads of goals last season, but I'll be damned if I'm going into this season relying on him, yeah, to score the goals that's gonna do anything, bruv. Because we don't know. Next season he could have another bad one. Because the season before last he had a shit season. And even if you look at last season, he went 3 months without scoring at one point. So even though he scored loads of goals, he scored them in bunches.
Yeah, I think even towards the end of last year, I think he was on, was it like 3 or 4 in 18 or something like that? Like
Well, exactly.
towards the end. But now with Rashford, I'll be real. Like I've always maintained like I
Mm,
understand the hype around him and this and that, but I've never been a fan. And the thing is, I don't think I ever will be because like fair play to him. Like I gave him his flowers last year because he was the only player that was stepping up at
mm,
times when nobody else was. But it's like, bro, it's like everything I question about him that I've questioned since he was 22. Season after season, I don't see any improvement in them. Like fair play to him. Like in terms of upping his movement in the final third, yeah, he's improved in that. In terms of his ball striking, his finishing, yeah, it's relatively improved. Bro, he still picks up the ball and runs into man. And it's like I
yeah.
don't get it. Like fair play if Garnacho done it, if Pelestri done it, I'll be like, you know what, man, them at 18, like they're new to
Mm,
senior football. Rashford's 25, 26, and he's still tunnel vision. And the thing is, you sit down and watch him and you see the head is constantly down. And like there was even a
yeah.
moment yesterday, I think it was like 2, 3 minutes before Sancho got taken off. Like we were on the counter, Mount slipped him in, and Sancho was there open for him to slide in. And bro, his head was completely down. He just ran into man. And I was like, yo, like, fair play preseason. But
Mm,
I see this 2, 3 times a game in
yeah.
the Premier League, and it's costing us severely because, like, fair play to Ten Hag. He said it last week, and I fully agreed with it, where he came out and he was like, I need new attackers because the wingers that I have, or the attacking players that I currently have, they don't capitalize on 1v1 situations. And the thing is, like, the proof's in the pudding. You watch the Man United games, Anthony in isolation is a dud. He doesn't do anything.
Mm.
Rashford in isolation doesn't do much. The only two players that do anything in isolation are the two 18, 19-year-olds, but you can't really rely on them. So I don't know. I'll be real. Like, that's what it is.
It's mad. And it's funny because I had the show with I think it was Ty and them, and I was talking about Sancho, and I told him, yeah, Sancho in this false nine is a problem, innit? If we use him properly, how we're meant to use him, like this is his best position. I've seen it now. It doesn't matter who we're playing against. This is his best position. And we talk a lot now about how football's evolved, innit? And the way football is evolved, the old number 10s that had the creative freedom, yeah, without the defensive responsibility to get on the ball and make things happen. They don't exist anymore in the game. Like formations and tactics don't allow that anymore. Do you know what I'm saying? Like Arsenal allow Erdegaard to do it to a certain degree, yeah, and he's very fortunate because there's not many teams in the world that allow a number 10, yeah, the freedom that he gets at Arsenal. You just don't see it anywhere these days, isn't it? And what Sancho's doing in that false nine, he's dropping into the same areas that an old school number 10 would drop into, and he's causing problems in it. Like every single game that he's played in there, no matter the opposition, he's been one of our better players. He's looked sharper than everyone. He's made the better decisions than everyone. He's looked better on the ball than everyone else, and he genuinely looks comfortable there. And the whole, it's going to be interesting when Hojlund comes in, yeah, how the manager decides to use Sancho if he's going to put him back out wide. Because you looked at Anthony, you looked at Rashford. Bro, out of all our attackers, Sancho's the only one that's looked good, bro. Like this preseason, apart from obviously Pellistri, who's a kid who's gonna go out on loan.
You know what? You know what it is with the Sancho thing. It's like I'm happy that he's like finally beginning to find his feet and everything. But I'll be real, like project whatever it is, like Project False Nine now, man, count me out on that one because as much as he fits the role, and I'll be real, he's very tidy in possession centrally. Like he's a very reactive dribbler, where it's like as soon as you press him, he knows how to get himself out of it. He keeps the
Instinctive,
ball
yeah.
tidy. But the problem with Sancho, false nine, is the exact same problem with Martial as a false nine, which is these men will do the fancy stuff, but we don't have the wide players to compensate for their lack of potency in attack. So it's like Martial would do everything, but the wide players are not scoring enough goals. And like I always use the example when it comes to like false nines. Like I saw two quality teams play false nines in Madrid with Benzema and Liverpool with Bobby Firmino. But those two wide players were output machines. Like, bro, we're already 5 minutes ago, we were sitting down talking about Rashford. Like, we don't know if he's gonna replicate the same form as last year. And the other brother, like, I'm not even gonna touch on him. Everybody knows my views on him. Like, I'd be surprised if he gives me 6 or 7. So that's where I see a problem with false nine. That's why I don't want to see false nine at this club in it. Like, I just want a striker that can score the goals because I don't trust my wide players to score them.
Yeah, but the problem is, yeah, like we can flip that the other way because our wide players aren't creators either. So, do you know what I'm saying? Like Rashford's not a creator, Anthony's not a creator. So we could turn around and say that we put a number 9 in there, it solves our problems. But you saw what happened with Nunes at Liverpool. Like him playing in the 9, he wasn't scoring as many goals as him playing out wide, innit? And sometimes the profile of the other players around you dictates how you can do things, innit? Like at the moment, because we don't have any ball retention anywhere, if we lose the Sancho as the pivot, the guy that kind of helps things stick, like, bro, I just feel like the ball's never gonna stick, bro. And we're gonna spend every game without the ball because he's our only attacker right now that can hold the ball. And it's worrying, blood. He's the only one.
You know what it is? It's worrying because I'll be real, like control is a big thing in football, but I've always maintained like the way I see this team playing is the control will come out of possession, yeah. But the way I look at it is it's fair play. Like Anthony's not even the best of creators. Rashford for me is completely ineffective on the left. Like very like he plays for himself, and the thing is he's not as effective as he once was
Yeah.
down the left in it, yeah. But I just feel like it's a similar thing to what Manchester City do, yeah. And like they deployed it last year, where it's like nowadays, rather than getting the ball retainers in the center, your ball retainers are now out wide, and your more aggressive players are your two interiors. So I wouldn't be surprised if Ten Hag is looking at Mount and Bruno to be the chance creators, and then well, right, it sounds crazy to say Rashford as a ball retainer, but Anthony and whoever plays on the
Yeah,
left
that's
can be the ball
wild.
retainers. That's the way I look at it. Because when you look at City, for example, Grealish and Bernardo, they create chances, but when you look at the way they play, they primarily retain the ball. And then you've got the two interiors of Gundo, Alvarez, KDB that are the ones creating chances for Hojlund. So I wouldn't be surprised if that's how we're setting up to play. Or maybe I'm like overthinking it. I don't know.
Yeah, because yeah, we're definitely not getting ball retention from from Rashford. And
That's
also,
what it is.
like you said, Rashford keeps his head down as well. So it's not like Rashford's cutting inside and trying to float crosses in. Like he's trying to get his head down, go at people and shoot. And that's the only thing. Like having Rashford, that's why I think Salah and Nunes didn't work. Do you get what I'm saying? When Nunes was in the middle, it didn't work with Salah because Salah's goal orientated, and so is Nunes, and they kind of got in each other's way. And I think that could happen with Hojlund and Rashford. That's the only thing. Like I feel like Rashford wants to make them centre forward runs from out wide, innit? He's not smart enough to do it from centrally. So having them right next to each other, they could end up smothering each other's work. And that's the only thing. Like when I'm thinking in my head about trying to balance all of this out, this is where it gets tricky. Do you know what I mean?
I think you know what it is. I think with Rashford and Hojlund, I feel like offensively they'll work, yeah. But I get what you mean, which is like similar to what we used to say. Like I remember we were saying this even in like 2018, 2019, 2020, where we were like, you put a striker like Martial, but then the two wider players are more like shoot on sight. They just love to pick up the
Exactly.
ball, cut in and shoot. So the striker will starve. And then fair play, like Martial starved with it. We saw Cavani relatively starved, but fair play to him. Like him and Ronaldo, they had that movement to get onto the end of things. So with Hojlund, I'll be real, bro. Like at the end of the day, I'm gonna look at the manager. I'm gonna be like, listen, you have to instruct your wide players to perform in a certain way because at the end of the day, play to your players' strengths. And that's why at the beginning of the window, I was buying into the whole project of Rashford will be the 9 because I was like, yo, he ain't good on the wing anymore. Like he really isn't. But now
Yeah,
that we
but he's
signed
worse than
Hojlund,
the 9, bro.
but the thing is, at least in the 9, I'm like, you know what? At least you're effective in a way where it's like, just keep you as a final action player. Like, don't get involved in build up. Just be the guy that we get the final ball to. But I reckon what will happen is him and Hojlund will just be interchanging throughout games. Like 1 minute Hojlund's down the middle, the other minute Rashford's on the left. And at the end of the day, 2 outlets is better than 1.
No, 100%. 100%. But this is why I feel like having Rashford and Hojlund, yeah, as your wide attackers and having a false 9, I think that works best in terms of balance, bro.